Coach?
Just took a shower, unfortunately.
It's all right with you.
It was worth it.
We'll just jump right into questions if that's all right with you. We'll start with James.
Two-parter, Kelly. First, how sick was Tianna? And secondly, because we heard she was apparently vomiting. Secondly, it's going to get overlooked, but how big an impact did Shania have those final 15 minutes?
Well, it didn't get overlooked from us for sure. Yeah, Tianna legit. It was before the game. It was at halftime. And then she had to leave early in that second half again. So just a little under the weather, but she sure didn't play like it on the court. She was huge tonight for us. I'm really happy for her. India, had struggled a little bit from the field, but my goodness, if you're going to only make one shot, maybe she made a couple, but it was that one. So I'm so proud of her. I'm really happy for her. And I'm glad that you mentioned Shania. I thought she was a real key in the last, 12 or 13 minutes of that game, you guys. I thought we put it all together. We executed offensively. And then I thought the game was won at the defensive end. And she was a huge part of that, just her length, her activity, and she got some rebounds. So, yeah, it was a really good team victory, you guys. We had a lot of players play well. I thought Sedona had a heck of a game as well. So, anyway, yeah, just really proud of the grit, the toughness, and man, we got it done. That's a huge win for us.
We'll go to Zach Neal. Eric, you'll be next.
Coach, going back to Sedona, she's had kind of an up and down season so far, and I know she'd been just out with COVID, but she really played well tonight. How much do you think she can kind of take this performance moving forward and continue the role that she's on?
Well, I hope she really takes it to heart and continues to play this aggressively and confidently. And, she did it at both ends of the floor too. But yeah, it was great to see her hit some of those mid-range shots. And I thought tonight we showed at times how good we can be when we go with the bigger lineup. She was tough in the mid post and Niara was fantastic down low. I mean, she'd like to have some shots back, but she's a load. She's hard to guard one-on-one, and that's about as good a defender as you're going to see. So if she can continue that, both of them, that could be a dynamic duo.
Eric, go ahead.
So I just want to ask about the defensive effort in the last, 16 minutes of overtime and regulation, because that has to be about as well as you guys have played on that end. Where did the energy come from? This is a team that looked a little flat at times, I think, early. Where did that come from, and how do you build off it, I guess?
Yeah, well, it comes from character. I think we showed some real character. We have it in us, and when we needed, when we were tested, they came through. So, I on the board at halftime, one of the things that they put, I have them put 3 things before we come in that they see, and one of them was we got to work harder. And I thought we did in that second half. I told them on Monday night, we got to make sure that we work hard right from the opening tip. We can't be writing that on the board at halftime, but I just think that we played harder. We were more locked in, more focused, and I just thought they made some really smart plays down the stretch.
Andrew Hobner, you're up. Antoine, you'll be next.
Kelly, you talk about Sedona and just how much she was able to take over this game late on both ends. Is there a way to get that out of her more consistently, as opposed to it being until the fourth quarter where you really see this kind of ceiling of what she's capable of?
Yeah, I think I told you guys this when we talked the other day. She's been our best player in practice this week, and she just, for whatever reason, it hasn't translated all the time into the game. I think now having a performance like that in this kind of a game under these circumstances, I think will only give her confidence. And now, I think she realizes what an impact she can make on us. So this was a big, important game for her personally, and obviously for us as a team.
Antoine, go ahead.
To kind of piggyback off of Eric's question, your defense was just tremendous, especially in the fourth quarter, but not so much early on in the game. How do you get better? How do you continue that and try to get it for fourth quarters instead of just 1 or 2 like you did today?
Yeah, well, it's a work in progress. We just got to focus on it. And I thought last week we started well both games. So I don't think it's something that's endemic to this team. Just it happened tonight. And, you know, and they put a lot of pressure on you. And I think we were on our heels a little bit. They got us out of sync, and that happened at, you know, it affected us at both ends. So yeah, definitely something we have to do better at and fix, but I don't see it as a recurring problem.
Aaron Heisen, you're up. Rob, you'll be next.
Yeah, coach, you had Philly in at the beginning of the fourth quarter and then sub Nyara in after and went to her for the final basket. What made you, look to Nyara for that final bucket?
She's our best player. She's really good. And I felt we had an advantage at her position. So we isolated her a couple times and just said, go get a basket and go win it. And she did. Tianna played like Tianna is capable of playing. But yeah, Nyara, she was big down the stretch. And then I thought Philly came in and did an awesome job. I thought we needed her size. She played well, didn't hurt us in any phase. And those are important minutes. I think that's a young lady with a high ceiling. So hopefully that'll give her confidence, knowing that I have faith in her and trust her in a big moment like the fourth quarter in a big game.
Rob.
Yeah, when you're down 17 late in the third quarter, and then you make some of the lineup adjustments you did going into the fourth, how much do you feel like you're actually setting the stage for a comeback, and how much you just playing around to see what works? And then I wonder too, given Nyara and India, the tough time they'd had finishing at the rim, just their ability to actually finish those plays at the end, how did they summon that?
Well, they just have to do better. I mean, they're getting good shots. You're going to have nights like that. India, she's great in that floater game. She works on it every day. It's part of her pregame routine. They were just a little long today. I think she was long on most of them, back iron. And that just happens, but as long as she's taking the shot she's comfortable taking, then I'm okay with that. Can't fault it. Nyara's just got to continue to really focus on finishing around the rim. Sometimes she just goes a little too fast because she's so quick and so powerful. I think if she would get herself, balanced each and every finish, she's not going to miss most of those. But, we ended up making the big play at the end, you guys. And I'm really, like I said, just super happy for these guys. We needed this. We really needed this win. This is going to help us in the big picture as well.
Time for a couple more for you, Coach. We'll go to James,
Okay.
and then we'll end with Eric.
Kelly, not to get too declarative because it is one game and obviously a very close and hard fought overtime game, but it is your guys' biggest win in 2 years. So last year, there was so much the question of it was youth and who would take the big shot, and you couldn't make the big shot. And when they tried, sometimes you'd stumble and turnovers and other things. Here, Sedona comes through in the fourth. Tianna, through everything else, scored the most points on the final at Nyara, obviously. And on the final play, after they denied the three the whole game, you get it to Sid, and India gets the rebound and puts it in. You turned to 5 different players. And a year ago, you weren't sure who you could turn to. Is this beyond this, the outcome, the things within it is a big step?
Oh, certainly, James. I think you nailed it. Yeah. We're still young. Look at that group you're just talking about. Tianna's still a sophomore. Sedona's technically a sophomore. Nyara's a sophomore. They're still young, but they're not freshmen. Like you said, we were doing it last year. Yeah, I just think we have lots of different players that are capable of making that play. Sydney shot there at the end. We had her in the game because we have a ton of confidence in her to make that. And I thought she got a pretty good look, maybe a little rushed, but a good look. So, yeah, I think that ultimately is what's going to really make us difficult to defend. I think on any given night, Parrish had 21 the other night. I don't know what she ended up with tonight. Maybe a couple. And, Maddie's had big games, didn't tonight, but it's going to be, we have different players that can have big nights. And that's when you become dangerous, when you don't have to just key on 1 or 2 players.
Eric, go ahead.
Because of the game on Monday, there's not a lot of time to, I guess, celebrate and enjoy this one. Tomorrow, you got to turn the corner. How do you do that? And how important was this game and just, I guess, building some kind of momentum going into Monday?
Well, I will say this, every game's important. This to me was the most important game of the weekend because this is for a Pac-12 championship. And I still think we're a team capable of vying for that at some point here. So that becomes important. Monday is, obviously a nationally televised game. It's icing on the cake. It's UConn. I think if you lose this game tonight, we might have a different mindset going into that game Monday. I think this really helps with some momentum and some belief and some maybe a little extra pep in the step going into Monday. But make no mistake about it, these were two really, really good teams. Not often you bring in two top 10 teams and play them back to back like this. And so I know our kids are going to be excited. I anticipate a better start on Monday. I won't guarantee it, but I'm going to anticipate it. And we're going to need it. We're going to need everything we have. But you're right. We need to enjoy this. Sometimes there's a tendency to move on too quickly. I think young kids should enjoy it. I won't, because I got to go to work and watch a bunch of UConn tonight so that tomorrow practice we're ready, dialed in. But when you play teams like this that are different, they're two different teams, you have to rely on your fundamentals. We didn't do anything tricky late in that game. We just played harder and more sound and more fundamental. And that's what we're going to have to do with only one day to prepare. They only have one day to prepare for us, but that's what we have to do.
Thank you very much, Coach.
Thank you, guys.